She thought her life was over until the human groom took her hand. Beginning. The chamber of judgment was cold, though not from temperature. The crystalline walls of the Valar Hall refracted starlight into sharp spears of brilliance, reminding all who stood inside that their fate was under scrutiny. At the center of the dais, Princess Kylira knelt, her hands bound with shimmering chains of energy. She was 23 cycles old, heir to the Moonborn dynasty, and she had failed. Around her, the council murmured with disgust. Kylira had been meant to negotiate with the Dravic warlords and prevent bloodshed. Instead, the negotiations ended in disaster. 2 Valar fleets were destroyed, and her people were on the brink of annihilation. The elder spoke of disgrace, of stripping her title, of casting her into exile, or worse. You have shamed the Moonborn, Elder Rin intoned, his voice cracking like stone. Your life is no longer yours to command. Kylira lifted her chin. Then take it. Do what you will. I will not beg. But begging, it seemed, was not required. From the shadows of the hall, the High Seer emerged. Draped in silver robes, her eyes glowed with the visions of futures unwritten. The fates have spoken, she said. The princess shall live, but not as she was. Her redemption lies in the ritual of binding. The words fell like hammers. The binding was an ancient, almost forgotten tradition, an interspecies marriage pact designed to seal alliances. No one had invoked it in centuries. The seer gestured, and holographic constellations blossomed in the air. A human has been chosen. He will stand as her groom. Through him, the bond between Valar and humanity will be forged anew. A murmur swept the council. Marry a human? The thought was unthinkable. Valar were luminous beings, their skin flecked with bioluminescence, their blood infused with silver ions. Humans were dull, fragile, short-lived. Kylira's breath caught. This was worse than exile. It was humiliation, shackled for life to a lesser creature. Yet, as she looked into the seer's eyes, she knew the choice wasn't hers. Her life, her crown, her very freedom, they were gone. And so, Kylira thought her life was over. Middle. The human's name was Elias Rourke. He arrived aboard a battered Terran diplomatic shuttle, its engines whining in protest as it descended onto the gleaming spires of Valar capital. Unlike the Valar, who shimmered with ethereal grace, Elias seemed almost crude. His dark hair was unkempt, his Terran uniform patched in places, his boots scuffed. Yet he walked with a quiet, unyielding strength. When Kylira first laid eyes on him in the ceremonial chamber, she was struck by his ordinariness. Surely this man could not carry the weight of an empire's salvation. Princess Kylira, he said, bowing the awkward, stiff way of humans. His voice was deep, steady, carrying no hint of fear at the hundreds of Valar eyes upon him. I am honored. She narrowed her gaze. You cannot be. You do not know what you are agreeing to. Maybe not, Elias admitted, but I know what it means to stand when others fall, and I won't let you stand alone. The binding ceremony was swift. Silver threads of energy wove around their hands as the seer spoke the ancient odes. Their life forces were fused, not in full as legends claimed, but enough that Kylira felt the strange warmth of Elias's spirit brushing against hers. It was unsettling. Humans were supposed to feel dim, but his presence pulsed with a steady fire. The council dismissed her afterward, but not without sharp warnings. Her fate was now tied to her human groom. Should she fail again, should this union collapse, she would be cast into the void without mercy. For days, Kylira kept her distance from Elias. She retreated into her private chambers, wrapping herself in silence. He, however, did not. He followed her through the palace gardens, where crystalline flowers opened only under starlight. He sparred with her in the training rings, though his swordsmanship was clumsy compared to hers. He asked questions, so many questions, about Valar history, culture, even her childhood. At first, Kylira thought him intrusive, but over time, his persistence chipped at her walls. One evening, as the twin moons hung low in the sky, he found her by the fountain of memory. She sat rigid, staring at the carved reliefs of her ancestors. You hate this, Elias said softly, sitting beside her. Yes, Kalira admitted. I was meant to lead. Instead, I am bound. Caged. My life was over the moment they chained me to you. His jaw tightened, but he did not rise to anger. Instead, he reached for her hand. Maybe it isn't over, he said. Maybe it's just beginning differently than you thought. She almost pulled away. Almost. But his hand was warm, grounding. For the first time in weeks, she felt the storm inside her quiet. Then came the attack. The Dravik warlords had not forgotten her failure. Their fleet descended upon the capital without warning, dark ships blotting out the stars. The Veil defense grid flared, but it was not enough. Explosions rippled across the outer rings of the city. Kalira was rushed to the war chamber, Elias at her side. The council shouted over one another, panic rising. They looked to her, but she was no longer a princess with authority. She was bound, diminished. But Elias stepped forward. Show me the star maps, he demanded. His voice carried such authority that even the elders fell silent. With Kalira translating the Veiler glyphs, he devised a counter-strategy. Lure the Dravik into the crystal fields where the sharp energy currents would shred their ships. It was daring, reckless even, but the council had no better plan. Kalira watched him as he spoke, fire in his eyes. Humans, she realized, might be short-lived, fragile, but they were also bold, and that boldness might just save them. The plan was executed within the hour. Kalira flew beside him, piloting her sleek Veiler starfighter. Together, they led the charge into the crystal fields. The Dravik followed, unaware of the deadly energy storms awaiting them. The battle was chaos, fire and light, screams over comms, ships tearing apart in cascades of brilliance. At one point, Kalira's wing was clipped, sending her spiraling. Elias's voice cut through the static. Hold on, I've got you. His ship locked with hers, steadying her descent until she could right herself. In that moment, their life bond flared, and she felt his determination flood through her veins. They were no longer two, but one. When the Dravik fleet broke and retreated, the Veiler capital erupted in celebration. The council hailed the victory as miraculous. But Kalira knew the truth. It had been Elias. His courage, his reckless ingenuity, had turned the tide, ending. The aftermath of battle was not without consequence. Elias had been injured. His ship's controls had seared his hands. Kalira sat by his side in the healing chambers, her luminous tears falling against his human skin. You risked everything, she whispered. For me, for my people. He smiled weakly. That's what a groom is supposed to do, isn't it? Her heart twisted. She had thought her life was over when she was bound to him. Now, she realized it had only just begun. In the weeks that followed, the binding deepened. Where once she felt caged, she now felt anchored. Elias did not diminish her. He steadied her. He challenged her pride, softened her anger, and in turn, she taught him the ways of her people. Together, they were not weaker, but stronger. At the next council assembly, the elders moved to restore her title as heir. Yet Kalira did something no one expected. She refused. I will not lead alone, she declared. Not anymore. If you would have me rule, then know this. I rule with him. The council bristled, but the people, who had seen Elias fight for them, cheered. For the first time in centuries, a human was named co-sovereign of the Veiler throne. That night, beneath the twin moons, Kalira and Elias stood upon the palace balcony. The stars stretched endless before them, a map of futures waiting to be written. You saved me, she whispered. No, Elias said, brushing his scarred hand against hers. We saved each other. Her bioluminescent skin glowed brighter, reflecting in his eyes. She thought back to the day of her disgrace, the moment she had believed her life was over. But now, as the human groom took her hand, Kalira knew the truth. Her life had only just begun.